The road through Shunem shimmered with summer heat. Dust lifted from every passing donkey cart, curling upward like smoke. Each time Elisha the prophet traveled that route on his way between Carmel and Samaria, he passed the same large house upon the hill, and each time the same voice would call from the porch, warm and kind, "Come in, man of God, eat and rest a while." The voice belonged to a woman of influence, respected in her town, known not for wealth but for generosity. Her husband was older, quiet, steady. Their home was comfortable but marked by one ache: they had no child. Still, she poured out kindness like open grain. After several visits, she said to her husband, "Let's build him a small room on the roof, a bed, a table, a chair, and a lamp, so that whenever he passes this way, he may stay with us." Her husband nodded. The builders went to work. Simple, sincere hospitality became a sanctuary for a prophet. One evening, after another long journey, Elisha reclined in that little upper room, the lamplight soft against cedar wood walls. He turned to his servant Gehazi and said, "Call this Shunammite woman." When she arrived, she stood respectfully in the doorway. "You have gone to all this trouble for us," Elisha said. "What can be done for you? Can I speak to the king on your behalf? To the commander of the army?" She smiled politely. "I dwell among my own people," she said, meaning, "I need nothing." When she had gone, Elisha looked at Gehazi. "What then can be done for her?" Gehazi replied, "Well, she has no son, and her husband is old." Elisha nodded. "Call her again." She returned, hesitant this time. The prophet's eyes carried calm authority. He said, "About this time next year, you will hold a son in your arms." Her breath caught. Hope was both treasure and threat. "No, my lord," she whispered. "Please, man of God, don't mislead your servant." But God is faithful even when trust trembles. Within the year, her arms cradled a son. Laughter filled rooms once quiet. Old dreams found young voices again. Years passed. The boy grew strong, sunlight in human form. One harvest afternoon, he ran to his father among the reapers, playing near the wagons. Suddenly he stopped, clutched his head, and cried, "My head! My head!" The father called to a servant, "Carry him to his mother." The boy was laid across his mother's knees until noon, and died. The room that had once been built for hospitality now became the chamber of heartbreak. The Shunammite did not scream. Instead, she carried her son, her miracle, up the narrow stairway to the prophet's room. She laid him gently on Elisha's bed, closed the door, and went out. Turning to her husband, she said simply, "Send me one of the servants and a donkey. I must go to the man of God at Mount Carmel and return quickly." He asked, puzzled, "Why today?" "It's neither new moon nor Sabbath." She answered only, "It will be all right." Faith often sounds like denial to those who've never had to cling through tears. She saddled the donkey and told the servant, "Lead me on. Do not slow unless I tell you." 40 kilometers stretched between Shunem and Carmel, hot miles of silent determination. Elisha saw her coming from afar. "Look, it's the Shunammite woman," he said to Gehazi. "Run to meet her and ask, 'Is everything well with you, your husband, your child?'" She answered briefly, "Everything is fine," and rode on. When she reached Elisha, she caught hold of his feet, something women did not do publicly. Gehazi tried to push her away, but Elisha said, "Leave her alone. Her soul is in deep distress, and the Lord has hidden it from me." Through trembling breath, she said, "Did I ask you for a son, my lord? Didn't I say, 'Don't raise my hopes'?" Elisha understood. Grief has a language prophets recognize without translation. "Gehazi," he said quickly, "take my staff in your hand. Go. Lay my staff on the boy's face." But the mother refused to move. "As surely as the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave you." So Elisha rose and went with her. Gehazi arrived first, laid the staff on the boy, but there was no sound, no life. When Elisha reached the house, the mother was waiting at the door, eyes red but resolute. He went up to the room and saw the child lying on the bed. The air was still. Elisha shut the door, knelt beside the bed, and prayed, "Lord my God, let this child's life return to him." He stretched himself over the boy, mouth to mouth, eyes to eyes, hands to hands, as if to pour his own breath into lifeless lungs. The body grew warm, but the boy did not move. Elisha paced the room, prayed again, and stretched himself once more. Then the boy sneezed once, twice, 7 times, and opened his eyes. Elisha called out, "Call the Shunammite." She hurried upstairs, her breath caught between disbelief and wonder. He said, "Take your son." She fell at his feet, head bowed to the floor, then gathered the living child into her arms. Tears washed dust from his hair. What had died was alive again. Hope had come full circle. This story begins in generosity, runs through grief, and ends in grace. The woman built a room for God's prophet out of kindness, only to discover she was really building space for her own miracle. Faith always makes room for God before knowing what He will fill it with. Her statement, "It will be all right," wasn't denial, it was declaration. Even when the promise seemed dead upstairs, she refused to bury what God had breathed into being. Notice that Elisha shut the door to pray. Some resurrections require privacy, persistence, and prayer that stretches faith to its limit. Miracles often happen after the crowd has stopped watching, and when God restores, he doesn't slightly revive, he completely resurrects. The boy sneezed 7 times, a biblical picture of completion, of total return to life. The Shunammite woman's journey teaches us to hold on to what God has said longer than circumstance allows. Maybe your miracle, your dream, or your joy feels lifeless. Don't rush to bury it. Lay it before God, close the door, and keep moving in faith. Because the same God who filled an empty womb can still breathe through closed tombs. Generosity opened her story, grief refined it, and God finished it. Your story may pass through all three, but like hers, it can end with resurrection. Faith doesn't deny reality. It demands miracles.